Yes, good morning. Well, there are increased concerns, I think, from survivors I've heard this morning about the language being used by those Labour figures breaking with the party when they're calling for a limited inquiry or a mini inquiry. Many people urging those figures, Mr. Burnham and, of course, Harriet Harman, to give some further explanation on what that means, because many survivors and campaigners across the country say we need a full, aggressive review into this crisis, which, as we've revealed, has impacted over 50 different towns and cities. A mini inquiry probably just won't do. But there are other Labour figures who are making slightly more strident interventions on this issue. Yesterday, we revealed that Khalid Mahmood, the former Labour MP in Birmingham for 2001 until 2024, he said that we needed now a full public national inquiry into this issue. And so the government's position is under significant pressure, especially as Harriet Harman, who has long been in the Labour Party a champion for women's rights and equalities, she said that she was hoping that Kemi Badenoch and Sir Keir Starmer could come together to discuss terms of reference on this issue. And she in particular pointed towards the concerns about people not investigating this problem due to race. She thought that an inquiry into that issue should be central to any effort now launched to investigate this problem. So far, there's been a lot of resistance from government ministers to address that problem, whether it's still ongoing. There's also been a lot of pressure on the Safeguarding Minister, Jess Phillips, to explain why it took her 4 months almost to respond to Oldham Council when she turned down their request for a government-led inquiry. She also revealed earlier in the week that she had not spoken to a single Oldham survivor in the almost 4 months it took for her to make that decision. So yes, Ellie and Stephen, a lot of pressure on the Labour position this morning after 3 senior Labour figures have now come out breaking with Sir Keir Starmer, calling for some form of national inquiry into the grooming gang scandal.
To make then of, you say Jess Phillips hasn't spoken to a survivor from the Oldham situation, but I mean, over the last few days she has said, well, look, it's not off the table if survivors, victims, want it to happen. Well, how many does she need to hear from before that decision can be made?
Well, Stephen, we've been hearing from survivors in Oldham at GB News for many years now who have been calling for a government-led inquiry. It was voted in Oldham Council 6 times. They had to wait until the Labour Council lost overall control last May for a motion to be put forward in July, which we revealed on the channel. So for many years, survivors in Oldham have been campaigning for that government-led inquiry. They've not been hiding. This has been a very public demand. We've spoken to them. They're available to share this information, and their political battle to get this accepted by the council has been very public and ongoing for many years. So for them to take 4 months to respond to that letter and say no, and I have to say there were 2 letters that I saw from Oldham Council's executive to the Home Office and to the Safeguarding Minister urging action. That's raised a lot of concerns by survivors in Oldham, but also, as you say, it has led to some loosening of the government position because they said that they were open to calls for an inquiry. The Prime Minister's spokesperson saying that after PMQs on Wednesday, after that 18-minute battle between the Leader of the Opposition and the Prime Minister on this scandal, by my measure, that's the longest time we've spent discussing the grooming gang scandal in the Commons for many, many years. So some change in the government position since then, and now more pressure from senior Labour figures across the country calling for some level of investigation and inquiry into the rape gang scandal.
Charlie, you're in Rotherham today, aren't you? I wonder how survivors that you're speaking to are feeling about all of the politics surrounding all of this. Are they happy to see it back in the spotlight? Are they hoping that action is taken, or are they frustrated that actually the talk about Elon Musk, the talk about senior Labour figures, is actually taking it away from their stories and what they have been through?
I think there is a lot of anger about the focus on the Elon Musk and Labour fight. They say that their voices, quite rightly, should be front and centre of this issue. But at the same time, they're very grateful for the Elon Musk intervention, because we revealed last week, of course, that the Labour government had denied that call from Oldham Council. When I put that story out, I didn't expect it to be setting such an agenda at the time, but the sharing of Elon Musk and the leader of the opposition then jumping on that interest straight away has generated the survivors getting all the attention that they've needed and demanded for so many years. And so many of the survivors in Rotherham still don't go about in public, because many of their perpetrators still live and work in this town. They see them in the street, people who abused them up to 20 years ago. And so many of them are still in hiding and urging the government to act. There has been an inquiry in Rotherham, of course. It gave them truth, but they say it didn't give them accountability, because no police officer and no council official was ever really held to account over the scandal here. And if it's still bad in Rotherham, then how bad might it be in those some 50 different towns and cities across the country where there has been no local or government-led investigation into this atrocity?
Charlie, thank you very much indeed. It is an ongoing issue, and Charlie's got a documentary which you can watch tomorrow night here on GB News. Grooming Gangs, Britain's Shame, 8 o'clock tomorrow night.
And talking about a national inquiry, and we were speaking earlier, weren't we, to Oliver Lawrence, who's a police and crime commentator, and he was saying, sadly, he's absolutely confident that this is still going on, which even more so, that is why a national inquiry has got to be so important, hasn't it? Because lessons haven't been learnt.
It is a moment of national shame, actually, I think, because this has been going on for such a long time.
30 years.
And frankly, we've not been aware of it.
No.
There's been various incidents, and then you sort of think they've been resolved, and it hasn't been resolved, and it's ongoing elsewhere, and we haven't been aware of it.